Rho awoke to the feeling of hot blood scalding his hands, and his tabard soaked and dripping with gore. He closed his eyes again as the hammock swung beneath him, hooking his fingers through the netting and listening to the scrape of the iron rings just over his head. Just a nightmare, he told his racing heart. His stomach churned with acid, and he felt like he was going to be sick. But he couldn't blame that on the dreams. Every morning on the Argent began with the contents of his stomach trying to abandon ship by way of his throat. He rolled gracelessly out of the hammock and dropped to the floor, letting his forehead rest against the strut for a moment before checking Dramash's hammock below. Except for a rumpled blanket and a vacant-eyed poppet made by one of the Nomas sailors, it was empty. The pouches of Shadari sand they had brought so Dramash could learn to control his formidable Usher powers were underneath, furred with the dust of another wasted day. Rho knew he couldn't keep letting Dramash wriggle out of practicing. He had watched the boy's ability to command the ore within the Shadari rocks and soil. He'd seen him destroy a stone monument the size of a small mountain and suck people down under the sands. But those deeds had been the acts of a terrified child. Dramash needed real control over his powers if he was ever going to live in the Shadar again, or even be around swords forged from Shadari ore. At least this morning Rho didn't have to jam his arm against his side and wait for the pain to stop. He ran his fingers over the right side of his abdomen and felt only smooth skin. Marla, the ship's healer, had said that the pain could be coming from scar tissue deeper under the surface, invisible but enduring, like the memory of Dramash's father dragging his rusty blade through Rho's flesh. He grabbed his boots and took the single step over to the nearest stool, which skidded over the floor as it took his weight until he pushed his back up against the table bolted to the floor. "Where are you going?" asked Eofar, his shirtless back glowing in the hammock on the opposite side of the cabin. He'd been brooding again, but Rho much preferred that to the drunken, violent grieving. "I'm going to find Dramash," he said, tugging on his left boot. "I dreamed about Ravindal," said Eofar. "Did you?" Rho would have liked to dream once in a while that wasn't blood-spattered and reeking of failure. It shone, like it was made of moonlight. "There's no moon in Norland, or sun either, thank on far," said Rho, as he pulled on the other boot. "My mother made it sound so wonderful in her stories. I don't know why. She knew our tainted bloodline meant we could never go back." Eofar shifted in the hammock and set it swinging violently back and forth. Rho's stomach rocked along with it, and he had to look down at the table, fixing his eyes on the model of Ravindal he had put together after a rummage through the galley junk box, a slanted stone chopping block with a crack in it for the front, a weather-bleached clothespin with a bit of red fabric stuck on top for the beacon, lidless spice jars and biscuit boxes for the crowding castles of the 12 clans, except for Eofar Castle, which was represented by a long box that his nose told him had once housed a cheese. The model had not helped them come up with any better course of action than walking into Ravindal and stupidly suggesting to the Emperor that he proclaim the Shadar's independence, and then disingenuously presenting Dramash as one of any number of temple-destroying maniacs ready to do battle for his people. "I don't suppose you've come up with a new plan?" Rho asked his commanding officer. "No. Why?" "I just don't think Dramash is ready to give any demonstrations. We can't expect him to be able to control all of that power, particularly in a strange place where he's surrounded by Norlanders with swords made from Shadari ore. Anything could happen."